I want to begin with the story of a home or an institution that was opened in Glenamaddy back in 1921, because prior to the Tuam mother and baby home being opened, mothers in Glenamaddy and surrounding areas were sent to an institution which was set up in 1921 by Galway County Council. It was part of the reorganisation of services for the poor. And in 1925, that home was condemned and its occupants were moved to the former workhouse in Tuam. Now, the Commission of Inquiry established in 2015 to examine 14 mother and baby homes and 4 county homes found that 80 children had died in Glenamaddy in the existence, that 4-year period of time. And research conducted by Catherine Corliss, as we know, found 796 children had died in the Tuam home. And we know that there's now excavation of that site. But mystery still surrounds or shrouds the whereabouts of the graves of those 80 children who died in Glenamaddy. And I'm joined on the programme this morning by researcher and geologist Daniel Loftus. He is founder of the Infant Project. First of all, Daniel, thank you very much for joining us today. Good morning.
Thank you, Tommy. How are you?
I'm very well. So tell us, from your perspective, you've been following this for quite a period of time, these 80 children who are documented as having died in this home in Glenamaddy when it was opened between 1921 and 1925, but no record of where they're buried.
That's correct. So between December 1921, when the Glenamaddy home opened, and mid-1925, when the Glenamaddy home would close after being condemned in January, it was found that there were 84 children who had died in the Glenamaddy home, as there was an error made in the Commission's findings through that I've noticed through looking through public death records, that there was actually more than just 80. There was 84. Now, while it's not necessarily a significant increase, it is still an increase. And I started Project Infant back in 2022, and the main thing I wanted to try and do was to try and make some impact through researching these institutions to try and help bring, some clarity, or use my skills as a genealogist to maybe try and give their names back to them, as, there wasn't necessarily many known from that time of those who died. So I just wanted to try and do my bit with that. But in terms of trying to find the burial place, I have not yet been successful in finding it yet. But I imagine there would be a bit of speculation as to where the burial place may be, but I'm hoping that with the access given to the archives for the Tuam exhumation, that for all we know there may be something there that could help bring some answers as to where those 84 lay.
And this institution in Glenamaddy, was it built on a green site or was it taken over as something else?
So the reason why it had been condemned and the building was pretty much disused afterwards, the building was quite old. It was, it had poor kind of conditions inside of it. It could let in the cold very easily and keep the heat in very well. There was a lot of reports about a lot of coal having to be used to be, heating the building, and access to running water was an issue as well. So they did have to end up moving the mother and baby home that had been in Glenamaddy from Glenamaddy to Tuam.
And is the structure still there, Daniel?
It is, but in almost kind of ruined capacity. It's along, it's just outside Glenamaddy, so it is still standing, but just not nearly probably what it once was in 1921.
And is it now, the land's now in private ownership?
I'm not aware if they're private ownership or public.
And of these 84 babies that were born in this institution, or who died in this institution, do you have any background as to how some of them died?
Yes. So over the 84 children that had died, there were records of children dying from bronchitis, congenital debilities, tuberculosis, either tuberculosis or congenital tuberculosis, meningitis. There was a wide range of causes of death noticed in the children who had died in Glenamady. The most had died in 1922, with 32 dying that year. And there was most of the children were kind of died in infancy, but the youngest was 3 weeks and the oldest was 9 years old.
And as you say, 32 of the 84 dying in 1922, and no record of where they were buried.
Galway County Council and hasn't been able to answer that. We're still wondering. And
are you still continuing to research it? I mean, is this like a dog with a bone for you?
A lot of research I do with mother and baby homes could be seen in that way, because, you know, with my own mother being born in an institution herself, you know, while she was fortunate to, you know, survive the institution, I felt, you know, empowered to try and do my bit to try and remember those who weren't able to make it out of there, because I feel like it's the least that any of us can do for those who had died in the institutions.
Finally, what is your suspicion as to where these 84 babies are now?
I don't have any particular suspicion myself, but like I said, I imagine there would be a number of, you know, suspicions, ideas as to where they could be. Some have suggested that it could be on the land themselves. Some had suggested it could be elsewhere. It's hard to be able to answer unless we have found something that might point us as to where they are.
Okay. All right, so the search goes on. Daniel, thank you very much indeed for giving us your time this morning. We appreciate it very much. That's Daniel Loftus joining us in relation to the no burial sites for those 84 children who died in that home in Glenamady between 1921 and when it was closed in 1925.